Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Sirius Black, Vengeance Is Mine, out February 25th on AFM Records. The album has 13 tracks, 52 minutes in length, and this the band's 6th full-length studio album. They are an international power metal band, and for this record they put together a design structure that has a classic approach. It takes the listener forward but also up and down. Tons of peaks and valleys, a lot of ebbs and flows, a record that never stays constant. Uses the same elements, and those ones you could feel permeate throughout the entire record, but the outcome, the output of each and every single song, it's constantly moving and it's constantly changing, making the album a lot more engaging. Separating the ballads is another great element that this record offers. It gives you a few chances to breathe, to catch your breath, but it also lets the album breathe a little bit better, making the album more robust, making the album more complete all around. And you have to be conscious of how you build a record like this. 13 songs, 52 minutes in length. This is a long album. So you have to create the right mechanisms so that the listener stays connected throughout the entire experience and it doesn't walk away from it. I still feel like this record is a little bit too long. It has a little bit too many songs, too many minutes, but considering the design that they put together, they allow the album to enhance the positives and reduce the negatives. So perfect job from that perspective. As far as the soundscape is concerned, this is a power metal record, so it's going to have that drive, that force, song in and song out. Now, the knob is going to move one way or another, sometimes adding more power, sometimes reducing it, but that's what gives the record those ebbs and flows that makes the album so entertaining and so engaging from start to finish. An album that's really driven by three pillars: the keyboards or synthesizers, the guitars, and vocals. These are the three driving forces of the entire record. Everything gravitates around them. When you look at the keyboard synthesizers, you see that they play a huge role on the soundscape. They have a deep impact on how you're going to perceive this record. They add a little bit of an epic atmosphere to the album, no doubt about that. They add a lot of melody to this record, no doubt about that. And then they permeate through other elements, blending in really well with the guitars, sometimes allowing the two to come together almost as one in order to push these songs forward, not just with power but also with melody. So they definitely play a very important role throughout the entire record. Even in terms of solos, you're going to have keyboard solos, all of these elements coming to life on a song-by-song basis. Sometimes it felt a little bit too much of the keyboards. This album really depends a lot on them, but at the same time, the way they connected with the guitars was so well done that you often forget about it because you're just so immersed in the overall experience that the tracks are offering you. So it's one of those love-hate relationships that I had throughout the entire album. Now, the guitars are phenomenal. I would like to see a little bit more power in the solos, perhaps even more solos, if you will, because this album really had all the essence to create that sort of drive, that sort of push. But how the guitars interacted with the keyboards was really important on the melodic side, because they really gave the record a sense of unity from that perspective, making the album feel very powerful, very epic. On the other side, in terms of the drive, the force, that power metal sound that we expect coming into a record like this, I love how they paired up with the drums. The two really becoming a force of nature, allowing the sound to build a wall, a very strong wall, one that comes at you with force, power, and intensity. And you have this dynamic movement between the two. The power shifts towards the drums with the guitars, or the guitars shift towards the keyboard synthesizers for the melody. This constant movement between the two, it's one of the life forces of the overall soundscape, and I really enjoy it throughout the entire record. Last but not least, the vocals. New singer on this album, and Nicola is a mic drop. The guy has an incredible range, an incredible voice, and he's constantly tweaking his delivery from song to song, but even within the songs themselves. How he approaches the verses versus how he takes the pre-choruses and chorus always has a little bit of a touch to it. It's never quite always the same. It doesn't have this one-size-fits-all where he feels comfortable, and because he's comfortable in that, that's exactly what he's going to deliver song in and song out. I didn't get that sensation. I didn't get that feel from listening to this album. I felt like he was a lot more organic with his overall approach. He let the songs, as far as the sound, the lyrical content, and what the overall atmosphere was all about, to dictate a little bit of what his range was going to be on those specific tracks. And he fit in like a glove. phenomenal vocalist, very powerful. He really demands your attention and he grabs your attention. So he allows himself to be the conduit in which you can really connect with these tracks and then really navigate through this entire record. It definitely makes the album feel a lot easier to experience, a lot easier to digest, maybe reducing some of those minutes and making the experience feel a little bit shorter. That is how good his voice is. Now, overall, I enjoy this record. Like I said earlier, I still feel like the album is a little bit too long on its tooth. Maybe 3 less songs, 2 less songs, around the 40-45 minute mark. I think the album would have been perfect. It would have been more compact, would have been more direct. You would feel the ebbs and flows in a much shorter period of time, so they would have a much bigger impact. The album wouldn't be as diluted, wouldn't be as stretched out. But if there's something that I'm walking away from this record with, is how incredible the vocals are. You definitely come in for the sound, you definitely come in for the guitars, but you're gonna stay for the vocals. That's what this record is all about. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Soul Divider. Power from drums and guitars together. They have a lot of strength on this track. Then the synths, keyboards come in and they add melody, and that melody has a positive impact in the overall atmosphere that the track has. Now the guitars become to drive the song. They start to push the song forward, while the keyboards are creating this melody, this atmosphere that surrounds it. The vocals sound phenomenal. Using some backing vocals, which is something you're going to hear throughout the entire record, adds presence, it adds substance, it adds texture without changing too much of his range and the overall feel that the song has. It just gives a sense of more volume there. It allows the overall experience to be a little bit richer and match better to what's happening on the soundscape side of things. Now, the song feels very connected. It has some moments where it feels actually thick, it has big presence, and it has the perfect blend of power and melody. The two really interact well with one another. It has a keyboard solo that works really well in terms of the overall sound that the song had, so it fits in perfectly. The flow feels continuously from beginning to end, and the track really allows itself to feel complete all around. Next we have Tonight I Am Ready to Fight, my favorite song on the entire record. It has a great keyboard opening melody, and then that melody stays on as the main melody of the track. It just shifts directions. The guitars come in, start moving that melody forward. The keyboards continue to come back in again with that same melody. So there's a sense of continuity. There's a little bit of breadcrumbs throughout the entire track as far as what the keyboards are doing and the melody that comes with it. The vocals are a little bit lower in the verses, but this gives you a sense of growth and progression throughout the entire track, because in the verses they start a little bit lower, they get a little bit higher in the pre-chorus, and then the chorus feels more bombastic. It feels a little bit bigger, adding force, expanding the footprint of the song and allowing the track to become very hooky and very catchy. Not just because of what's happening vocally, not just because of how the chorus is coming along, but that melody that started right at the opening, it becomes an absolute earworm from the start all the way to the finish. And that melody is what makes this song so hooky, so catchy. The track also has a magnificent guitar solo, and that doesn't hurt. That really expands the track. It gives it more of a classic vibe, but it works really well for the overall design that this track has. Last but not least, we have Queen of Lies, a very powerful song, and it starts off with this wall of sound coming towards you with the drums and the guitars working really well together, working as one. It dips. It allows itself to dip a little bit, becoming more melodic, almost feels stripped out at times, and then you have those movements moving in towards the chorus where the power comes back in again and the song feels a little bit more robust, a little bit more together. So it's a track that doesn't stay linear, doesn't stay constant. It's always moving up and down depending on where you are, verses and chorus. The only thing that you feel that stays pretty consistent throughout is the power, the force that exuberates from it. That feels very natural and it feels very constant. But the movement that the track has, that allows the song to feel like it has a lot more mobility. It allows the song to feel like it has a lot more speed, a lot more momentum. This is it. Sirius Black, Vengeance Is Mine, out February 25th on AFM Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.